So I want to talk about the idea of infinite timelines, creation is finished, all things existing now, what that really means with a practical example. So let's say this is you, and your biggest, issue right now in life is that you're struggling with a chronic illness. So, we can agree that this is the timeline that you're on, where your awareness is on being chronically ill, right? You are aware that you're unhealthy and you've accepted that, and this is your timeline. Fine. So this timeline has a past, present, and future. And you'll notice past and future are in quotations. That's because this is all happening right now. Think of it, it's like vibrating right now. It's existing right here, right now. The way our mind sees it, it just looks like there's a past and a future. And that's for our benefit, right? Because otherwise this would be extremely chaotic. So that's how we experience time. So this is the timeline that you're on. And it's because your dominant focus is here. But just like this timeline exists, there are infinite other timelines, right? So anything that you can conceive of, if you can see it in your mind, if you can picture it, think of it, or just have the idea of it, it is existing, right? So infinite possibilities, even things that absolutely make zero sense, right? If you can conceive it, it exists. So that is what it means when we say creation is finished. It's here now and it's accessible to you now. So how do you access, let's say, the timeline up here where you don't have the chronic illness? You shift your awareness. You basically cut off think of it as like cutting off the oxygen supply to this one. You stop being aware of it, right? And you keep directing your focus to this new timeline, the one, let's say, where you are healthy. And as you do that, this becomes more dominant, right? And then just picture this is the darker line, right? So this becomes your new timeline, essentially, right? And this timeline comes with its own past, present, and future. And this is why it actually took me a lot of time to grasp the idea of revision. But this is where revision comes in. So revising and, manifesting for the future, it's the same thing. Because regardless, you're going to be put on a new, timeline where you have a different past. So this person did not struggle with chronic illness, right? Because it's not in their awareness. They're different, right? These are parallel lines here. So this person is not aware of it. They did not have a past where they struggled with chronic illness. You literally become a new person with a new body. And if this sounds crazy, look up Bashar. I'll try to find the video. He explains it. Like, that's what finally clicked for me. But realize we are doing this billions of times, like per millisecond, essentially, right? You have a different thought. You breathe differently. You eat something different. You're jumping to a different timeline, right? It's happening so quickly, we don't even realize it. It feels like it's not happening at all. And this is why I've talked about before, just being present can really be enough to manifest. Because if you are, think of if we just divide these up, right? And you are living in the past, which has already happened here. It's this one little tiny speck of time, right? That's happened right here in the past in this timeline. You're thinking of an old story, right? Maybe you're thinking of when you first got the diagnosis, right? Which is just this little tiny speck of dust right here and all these infinite possibilities. You're just keeping yourself in this timeline, right? When you're worried about the future, maybe you're worried about, oh my gosh, how long am I going to have to deal with this illness, right? How long is this going to go on? Again, you're keeping yourself here, right? Because that's only existing right here. So if you can just focus on presence even, right? In the present moment, you can be anything. You can be anybody, right? You can jump to any of these things, right? Because you're not identifying with something that's already happened or worrying about something that hasn't happened in your linear time yet. When you are focused on the present, there are no issues, right? There shouldn't be, because why are you worrying about anything here or here, right? In this very moment, if you have work to do, focus on fully 100% doing the work, right? If you're showering and listening to music, focus on the shower and listening to the music. If you're pouring coffee, focus on how good the coffee smells, how excited you are to drink it. In that moment, you're not identifying here or here. So the more often you can do that, right, you kind of just naturally shift your focus, right, and go to this other timeline where you never experienced chronic illness, right? And this can explain why, for example, something like hypnosis, can work. A lot of people use hypnosis for, like, if you have been addicted to nicotine or something, right, that is something that can actually work quite well. Revision, same thing. If you're revising and, basically recalling a different past, right, you're doing this. Manifesting, right? When you're shifting your focus to a new timeline, you're doing this. You're going from this timeline to this one, right? So even though I talk about, creating your reality, all this, right? It's actually already created. It's here, right? Think of this as just, it's infinite. It goes on and on and on. But every single timeline exists. And when you shift, right, which we're always doing, you are literally a new person, right? You're the same consciousness, but that is a different person, right? So that's why sometimes when we just change so much throughout our lives and we're like, damn, I don't even recognize the old me, right? The old me who used to be super insecure or super unhappy, right? Really anxious. I don't even recognize that person. That's why it feels so far away, right? Because you're not that person. You've become a new person. Let me know if this makes sense.